I just find myself doing a lot of this energy work to try to raise my vibration and use some of the tools that I've studied to increase how I feel during the day and just float about and let these feelings come in.
Well, anything that you're doing that improves the way you feel is a really beneficial and powerful and productive use of your focus and time. In other words, anything that makes you feel better. That's why we say if you catch yourself in a moment that feels good, just milk it. Milk it, devour it, examine why it feels so good. Every now and again, if you find yourself in a place that just feels extra good, ask yourself, what's so good about this place? Is it the environment? Is it the carpet on the floor? Is it the ambience in the room? Is it the air in the room? Is it about the other people in the room? Is it the music in the room? And often, Esther, as she was writing her segment of intentions, and she always sort of focuses herself into this room with you, she was acknowledging how good this environment feels because it pleases all of the physical senses. It looks good, it feels good, it smells good. None of her physical senses are assaulted in an environment like that, which means it's a particularly good environment for further realization of further pleasantries. You see what we're getting at?
You're setting yourself up for more.
Ready to be ready, to be ready, to be ready. But ready to receive, not ready to think. When you think a thought, that thought thinks. And so there's all kinds of things thinking all around you, all kinds of thoughts thinking around you. But someone who is really thinking in a way that really benefits you is your inner being who exists inside of everything that you desire. And your inner being is always, always and only thinking about what you desire, about who you really are. So you could say, in the way that we were describing you being in a room where your physical senses are devouring in positive ways, your inner being is in your vortex devouring in positive ways. Pleased with the life that you lived that caused you to put it there. Pleased with the synergy of what's there. Pleased with the cooperative components that you've managed to gather through your attention to life. Pleased with the formulation. Pleased with the current status of all of it. And most of all, your inner being is pleased with its understanding of your discovery and your pleasure as you allow more of what's there to be realized in your physical senses. So if you think it feels good to be in a beautiful room with beautiful chandeliers and comfortable environment and good sound that you can hear and good conversation and lovely people that are like-minded to a certain degree, if you think that an environment like this feels good, then imagine the satisfaction that you're going to have as the contents of your vortex move into a manifestation that then you can devour with your physical senses. Did you kind of get what we're getting at? We're asking you to reach into a place that you may not have consciously gone before. The thrill of life really is the thoughts turning to things. The thrill of life really is you getting to witness the maturation of what you put there. Of your thoughts, your important thoughts and questions and problems that set all of that into motion. And now your creation is growing and ripening and becoming, and you get to witness it and nurture it and move it along, and every step along the way have more contrasting step one moments that put more into the vortex. So you got that, didn't you? You can feel the evolution of your vortex turning to things. You can feel the evolution of you being in the receiving mode and being more aware of more of that as it's in the state of becoming. And we know you caught the spirit that we were offering here of you getting to witness the manifestation or the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching of all of this that you've set into motion. And now we want you to focus just for a moment, because it'll take you to a whole new rampaged level. We want you to focus on how, as you are allowing that to unfold, how within it sometimes even there is subtle contrast that causes you to ask for more that keep it all coming. And that's why we say you never get it done and you can't get it wrong. And the reason that you can't get it wrong is because it's never done. So no matter where you stand, you're still asking for more. So let's be clear. You are never outside of a thinking moment. We're asking you not to think. We're asking you to receive. You are never outside of a thinking moment, because you can never stop being aware of and therefore be in some phase of human step one evaluation of where you are. So even though you're in the receiving mode, there's still some evaluation going on within it. That's the perfectly normal thing. Just don't get carried away with it. And you were a little carried away with it. You're just thinking a little too much and receiving a little not as much as we would like you to do. Just keep it in balance. What that requires is accepting that you're not here to prove anything to anyone. Accepting that there are no charts for you to fill. There are no ladders for you to climb. There's not something for you to overcome or something for you to undo. Your Creator's out here on the leading edge of thought, and it all starts right here and now with you. And so the sooner you stop trying to explain where you've been and how you got here, and you start acknowledging where you are and start enjoying what's coming from this, then the sooner you will be the empowered being that you were born to be. Nobody's asking for your apologies or for your justification about why you're here. Everyone's rooting for the success. And all of us know what's in your vortex so far, but what's in your vortex is not finished. You're going to put more in. Right in the midst of your receiving mode, you will still put more in. It's like building a new house because there are not enough closets, and so you really put a lot of emphasis on the closet, and you talk to the closet designers, and you really you build a house with the most magnificent closets, but your kitchen is lacking so many things, and you didn't know it until you got in the house, and now you're working on your kitchen a little bit, you see. And so you're never going to stop finding something that can be improved, because that is the nature of the eternal beings that we all are. We want to give you an example. We've been telling this, so if you've been listening in the last 2 or 3 weeks, you've heard this, but it's our best example of what we just said to you. And the examples are easier to hear. There isn't anything that Esther cares more about than this, than people who have things that they want to know, being in a position where they can hear it in the way that it works. Universal laws. She wants everybody to know what she knows. She wants everyone to feel like she feels. This is what she believes she was born to do, and it's what pleases her most. So one morning after meditation, she awakened, and she had a very strong impulse to play with her music system in her house. And it was an odd impulse, because she's lived in that house for nearly 10 years and never understood how this electronic system works. She could play little aspects of it, but she really didn't understand it very well. But she had this really strong sort of excitement about it. And so rather than do anything that she'd planned to do in the next 2 hours, she sat down with her remotes and her buttons in front of her television, which is the screen for it all, and she just messed with it until it began working. She can play whatever's coming through the system, a variety of music genres, in every room in her house, individually or all together, outside in the courtyards, out on the decks. In other words, it extends almost through the entire neighborhood. Really good speakers and such. So Esther played with it, and she was taking such delight in it as she discovered more and more and more. And then she began listening through the genres of music. She was listening to the hits of the day, and she was listening to some of the classical stations. And then she came to a station called rap. And she put it on, and she turned it up, and she took great delight in it. And then she was finished with that, and so she went on with her day and accomplished some of the things that she'd attended and had a very nice day. And then the next morning after meditation, she woke up, and now she's in the receiving mode, but she's not really thinking about being in the receiving mode. But what she received was this really strong, enthusiastic impulse to move the furniture around in her house. Now, you'd think that she would receive ideas about world peace or stopping hunger. But she was not in a judging mode of herself. And the impulse to move furniture around, it felt so strong and so exciting to her that she went right to her computer and located a company that could come and help her do it, because she knew she was not going to be able to move it around. And so that afternoon, some lovely men, young men, showed up at her house. And so they moved that over there, and 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 that up there, and that over there, and that over there, and that over there, and that over there. She has 2 houses there, a guest house and a house. And so she took some things from the guest house up and some things from the upper house down, and they all had a really good time. And a lot of it, she put back where it originally was. But the process was really fun. And in the process, these delightful boys were sort of intrigued with Esther, wondering where this fun-loving otter of the universe, how did you get that old and stay that fun, is sort of what they were thinking. And then Esther was talking about the beautiful day, and one of them said, yes, it's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful place, but I'm leaving. And Esther said, where are you going? And he said, Alabama. And Esther said, why? She said, why? And he said, because I am a rapper and I have some things in the works. And Esther said, hold on a minute. So she went in and pushed some buttons, turned the volume up everywhere, and now rap. She went back out. His eyes were really big. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Esther was enjoying it so much. She'd been practicing all day the day before. And he said, what do you do? And Esther said, I'm a teacher. And he said, what do you teach? And Esther said, rap. And then she confessed, no. So then they began talking about what Esther does, and Esther has books around, so she signed some books and gave them to him because she could feel who he is and what he wants, and she knows that he's ready for what she knows, for what Abraham is teaching. So when we say to you that Esther's inner being knows what she wants and where to find it, and his inner being knows what he wants and where to find it, and each of them are in the receiving mode, just following the impulses, it was just the most wonderful orchestration of a meeting that Esther could not have conjured in any way, because she doesn't have all of the details that the universe at large has about all of that. You see what we're getting at? Now, a more conscientious person would not have moved furniture around unnecessarily. A more conscientious person would have quelled that impulse and gone and done something productive. But Esther has learned to follow her playful self. Esther has learned that when an impulse feels good like that, it must be good. And this is what we wish for all of you, that you put yourself in a position that you are in the receiving mode and that you follow the impulse of the receiving mode, so that not only are you having fun, but you're having productivity at its highest levels. What do you think it would have taken, statistically speaking? Well, we don't believe in statistics, but we want to drag you back into what you believe. Statistically speaking, what do you think it would have taken for Esther to find that person, or for him to find her? Wasn't that just the most perfect unfolding for the most wonderful situation? And so this is what we're saying to you, is that your inner being not only knows everything that you want and beyond, your inner being not only knows what's in your vortex today, your inner being is anticipating what your life is going to put there tomorrow and the next day too. And your inner being knows how to get you from where you are to where you want to be in the most joyful and delightful of ways. But if you've got your nose to the grindstone, if you're working so hard, if you're checking your marks on the chart, if you're looking for approval or praise from others who really do not have your best interest at heart, only your inner being really does, then you might be having a less satisfying life on your way to less satisfying life on your way to less satisfying life.